Thank you, Twan. Hello, Douglas County. Welcome to the November 14th, 2023 Transportation Committee of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. We've got a pretty full house now, and I'm excited to be back in person in our committee meetings by state law. We no longer in a state of emergency. So thank you, Mr. Chair, for ensuring that we're in compliance. So we're going to go around the room as we always do about our voting members first, and then we'll get into the presentations and our special guests. I'll start with myself for the record, just to establish the quorum again. Kelly Robinson, Chair of the Committee.
Phil Miller, am I the Vice Chair?
You're still the Chair, go ahead.
Still the Chair.
Cinnamon Runner. Ron Roberts.
Keith Coward.
Keith Coward, President. All right, so we have enough for a quorum. Is this with family here today, guys?
She.
That's okay. And so do we have our support members here? David Good here. Here is Jill or All right, we have Allison.
Yes, sir.
You're
Yes,
here,
sir.
special guest
Yep.
here.
Thank you. I'm Seductive Planning and Zoning. Thank you for allowing us to be here today.
Okay, we have the directors that are here just by presentation that I mentioned. All right, we'll get into the guests later. Okay, got it. We have a quorum. We're going to go ahead and start. Director Rana, let's go ahead and get started. Break the business and we'll get into the first order of business, which is for the meeting minutes.
The first action item is approval of the minutes of October 17th, 2023 meeting. The meeting minutes were put in Dropbox and everybody had a chance to review those.
Very good. Hopefully everybody did. So, but the whole question is, if there's any objections to the meeting minutes of October 23rd, 2023? If there's no objections, we'll go ahead and accept the minutes as adopted. Any objections? None. Adopted. Okay.
So the first agenda item is Connect Douglas updates, and I believe Ron has been that presented to.
I do have a guest presenter. Kathy Warren is here from the collaborative firm to do an update on the ridership data. And then after she concludes, because she can't get out of here, I have just a brief announcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron. So we'll get started with the monthly ridership report, and this is for the fixed route bus service.
Make sure you protect them.
Okay. All right, I sure will. Thank you. For October, as you can see, October 23, which is in the blue, the ridership is down by about 6%, or 234 riders. We did for the first 5 months, as I mentioned last time, we're 5 months of positive comps, and then we started comping over some strong numbers, which was the free ride promotion, which did well. We even had some residual, but we kind of lost our momentum a little bit. But we are still, the good news is we are still, when you look at total ridership, we are still up about 1,068 riders when you compare 22 to 23. So we have, again, these are additional riders that we have, which is still good.
Ridership for
No, sir, not since inception.
okay. So it's about this year change.
Yes, sir. Yes. So in summary, we haven't had the positive comps since May. I mentioned the free ridership, but again, although we are down about 6%, we still, when we look at total ridership, we are still ahead of 2023, and we've had 10 consecutive months of being ahead of 2023 when you comp over the same time a year ago. So just to give you a brief update on the public outreach, on the 10th, on October 8th, we were at Chapel Hill Elementary School. We did Careers on Wheels, and the students came in groups. We gave them tours of the bus. They had a great time. They received, we gave them a little spiel too about Connect Douglas, and they received candy on the way out. On the 17th of October, we were at the Cornerstone Health Fair. That is a tremendous opportunity for us because most of the employees there, they actually commute from a very long distance. And so, the, HR director, she hands out our bus schedules, we gave them some more. They came by the booths, they toured, it was probably about 300 to 400, employees there. So that's pretty positive, and it's a great opportunity. And we're gonna follow up with her, just to kind of stay in touch, because we do feel that it's great. And then finally, just a quick look ahead, on the 8th of December, we will be, we provided some branded items for Bend and Vibe, and this has been going on an event for about, probably around 7 years, so they get a real good, turnout. And then on the 13th, we're gonna be going, Mr. Robinson, before the Golden Years Club again. And so this time, we are going to be there to promote the pilot, the Connect Douglas pilot. And we're also gonna be working with, their president, Ms. Medina, of course, made the introduction, but we're gonna be working with the president who's going to get us into some other groups of, seniors as well. So, that's a good thing. And, that's all I have. Are there any questions?
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. for that. So, real quick again, what is the total ridership today? Do you know?
I don't have that today. You mean since inception? Okay, I will definitely send that to you.
Okay. I just need that, we're talking about budget tonight for the plan commission, and I just want that data.
You need that tonight?
Yes,
Okay.
tonight. Can you get that for me? I know you've done it in prior presentations, so I just need to, find that for.
I think.
All right, my second question is, I got the Golden Girl, no, Golden Years. They wouldn't mind me saying
I'm
that.
sure.
The Golden Years, but, I hear you explain, you mentioned like, you say elementary school,
It
or?
was Chapel Hill Elementary School.
Okay, and so we targeted the children, and targeted the parents and all of that, or why is elementary school, are they able to ride buses?
Yeah, so they actually reached out to us because we promote, we have partnered with them in the past. So, no, these were young students, but it's part of their career day.
Got it.
And so that's why.
That's what it got it.
Yeah.
No, I got it, but I like the entry and partnership with school system, that's wonderful. And that they're allowing them to come in and be more educated and help them to them.
Yes, and we have been at the high schools as well throughout the year.
Very good. All right, I won't belabor this. Any other questions? One more question. So, all right, so the dates that you just mentioned, this is through the end of the year. This is still into the new year, or this is just through the end of the year?
We were just providing right now for the end of the year.
Okay. All right, so I guess we'll talk about plans, doing our budget process, for going into the future. So we'll wait for that to happen. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Director Ryan or Director Robinson, still you back and forth. Can you keep it going, sir?
I'm just gonna share some updates on the TNT. As you know, we're doing open house this week, so I want to let the public know that that's gonna be 6 to 7:30 this Thursday. And draft recommendations will be completed and out and posted on it. And again, that's gonna be this Thursday, 6 to 7:30. And we have been posting on buses and through various communication avenues to make sure we get the citizens out there. So that is my announcement.
I appreciate that, and just for the record, to the citizens, my favorite district is on the same day, same time. Fifteen hours, left hand, sometimes over line with the right hand, so I know we're working through that. Mine is virtual. They will coexist and we'll keep moving, but duly noted that they do exist at the same time. We're aware that they are. And, obviously I support both of them, and I will look at guest appearance right after I finish my show at about 7 o'clock. I will be there.
What day is that, Ron?
Third,
It's coming Thursday.
yes, sir, be at our office back there, so multiple country.
You're at multiple, I'm in Citizen Hall in the studios. You're right, for sure. What do you think about 3 minutes? You walk down there?
It, you know, like 3, 2, 5, 6.
I understand. Thank you for that.
We can send you a shuttle.
Yeah, yeah, really noticed. Anything else you want to add, Matt? You good, just that announcement?
No, I am good with that. We just got a lot going on, so I wanna make sure that we're really pushing to get this thing done by that timeframe allowed.
Got it.
And, you know, as a reminder to this group, the recommendation is coming December 4th at the work session. And that presentation is presented to the entire board
Right.
at that time.
So this is the public engagement, not, so really the board doesn't have to be there, you got to wait for adoption.
Correct.
Anything else? I will keep it moving. Director Rana.
Sir, next item is public works update, and we have Dr. D. Jones.
Thank you. Well, sir,
Reason. Yeah.
I'll get all that in a while. Hey, so general updates, we've got fleet, we've had some pretty substantial movement on vehicles. Ross has been able to, acquire 14 units through multiple, different departments. And, you know, that's not going through ordering that section, going to the lot, but seeing what they have on lot, seeing what the department needs, and being on the phone and in person there, making sure that this is gonna work for each department's purpose and fleets, and he's got some pretty good deals where if you just ordered them or tried to order them, they would say, we're sorry, you don't have anything to order this year, and you know, they're pretty much booked up for next year within a matter of days, so we've had some good luck with that. And it's going around several departments as well, so I think we're getting, that was a good surprise for everyone there. This last month, the DOT, we're up to 2,722 potholes. Today. We've submitted the building plans for RFP, or for a design for the RFP for the DOT building. It's out and just waiting on bids to come in, and we'll start looking at those and decide which way to go. They're currently finishing up the ramps on Post Road, the actual, emergency lanes. Those have been hammered, they've been really bad for a long time, to the point you pull over and it can pop a tire. They're working on the last one right now, and they've done a great job. Look great, what they hold up for a long time, I'm sure they will. And then that's it for we've got transfer station was next on the agenda. I can tell you, we put out the RFP for that as well, and it'll be the 27th is when the bids are due back, and then we'll look at those, evaluate them, we have a evaluation board ready, and we'll go with the best design for what we can get and what we need, and then we'll come to the board and say, hey, this is our recommendation, and hopefully, you know, get that thing started. So both transfer station and DOT building, we're pushing pretty hard to get construction started. Okay, any questions? It's my update for today.
Very good. Very proud. You're always succinct. I appreciate that. So you've got some very important projects. So just for the record, for both the chair, not that you may not know, but also for I've got some other newer commissioners that may see this later. Talk about the DOT building, and that's something that went right around COVID. Get the background on that and what we're doing, please.
Yes, sir. So the background is we had a fire. It was the DOT was put into the top, basically utilizing the old fleet building on Chicago Avenue. Once fleet moved to the new spot, the new renovation of John Blinkedy Ford, it's behind the tag office. So as soon as they moved in there, it housed everything. It was an older facility, but compared to what they had, it was an upgrade to them. They had the room to get everything in there, putting it in. They had just received some new equipment that year as well. And it caught fire on one weekend, burned completely down, burned up some of the brand new equipment in there. And, it has been sitting vacant ever since. So it's been 3 years, I believe. And there was an insurance, claim, there was insurance on the building, there was money, received that we just have not reviewed, it hasn't been, I guess, what I'm looking for, as in, there wasn't a plan to spend that money on either a new building or doing a remodel of that building. And in the meantime, we've had DOT in the same vicinity on the same campus, utilizing a trailer, for pretty much the work crews, like foreman and below. There's an older house up there where the admin portion worked out of. And the best I came up with, once I was given this piece of DOT, was to remodel some more of John Bleakley upstairs, where my office was currently at, and some large conference rooms, to make office buildings. We put all the admin personnel up there on one floor. And then we moved the foremans into the house, and the guys, are still in that trailer, but have got a lot more room. Their vehicles are more or less their offices. You know, they spend more time in those vehicles. So it was my belief that vehicles for them are more important than, than that trailer. We're trying to work on something when we didn't have the exact plan. So now we're working on both, but we haven't been in a rush, to do it. We're trying to get the vehicles because they can do the job out of the trailer, but they can't do the job without equipment to get to it. So that's kind of was my priorities.
Right. No, thank you for that. And then we also have, so you have the transfer station that you're also, one is design and one is construction. So which one is going to go first?
Both design, I believe.
For the design, yes.
Both design, we got it. All right, got it.
The one contract.
For DOT, if the DOT replace that, what, okay. I think, the insurance contract was about $1.8 million.
So insurance paid out roughly $1.4 million. That was 21.
And how much is what's the bill today?
Today it's going to be roughly $3.5 million.
And over the course that's been earmarked and started as part of like the slot, that will be the funding mechanism?
Right, the funding would be a split, roughly $1.7 to $2 million comes from SPLOST, remainder from general fund. And the burden on general fund is the amount in insurance payouts that we receive.
And what about the other building?
The transfer station, 100% SPLOST training.
And what's that gonna cost?
We have earmarked $5 million, but the contract that's being advertised is for $4 million.
Yep.
So we'll start at $4 million, see what the insurance payout would be with the recent fire,
Yep.
and with the combination of two, we'll deliver a building somewhere between $4 to $5 million.
So 4 million, 2.7, still about $6 to $7 million for the two buildings?
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Sheriff, we could get about 11 to 12 in that facilities bucket for the SPLOST 2022. Just gotta keep up with that as we fully done. We're taking it down.
Yeah.
Keep up with it. All right, you did good. Thank you for that. Thank you for the potholes. Update. You're doing a great job over there. Keeping us appraised so that, again, I want to look into that insurance. Make sure that during COVID, that was dead winter, you got hurt in insurance. I understood that. But do they have money in the fund balance, or did we use that insurance to cover the shortage that happened with the budget during that period of time?
Prior to coming, so.
Okay, well, I understood that. Yeah. Can you find out that? Make sure we have that so that the number's accurate.
Yes, we've already coordinated with risk and safety and finance. We've kept finance and what we did was we pulled out all the payouts, regardless of what it was used for that specific year.
So you put it back,
agreed-
so finance, put it back there.
Yeah, finance that amount back.
That's for sure, that's important. We use the insurance policy because we were supposed to, but because the world was falling into COVID, we used it. I'm glad you guys have replenished it, and so we'll leave it alone again. All right, keep moving. All right, Director Ron, thank you, Director Collins, let's keep moving.
All right, well, next item is Department of Transportation updates. We've got, planning and zoning manager Allison with us, and I believe she has a guest speaker, from Path Foundation. And this would be their second presentation in front of this committee, and I'll let Allison take it away.
Great, thank you, Solomon. I'd like to ask Greta, the mayor, to join us, if you don't mind, Greta, to want to sit at the table with us here. I'm gonna try to get our presentation up. It's very brief, just a few slides. And let me see if I can get the Zoom working, because
Welcome.
need a little better links.
Yeah.
I will try to do a proper introduction here in just a minute when I see if the technology is going to work, sort of. Come on. Okay, all right, great, thank y'all, for having us back. We were here in August virtually, to talk about the possibility of a partnership with the Path Foundation. I'm glad to introduce Greta Beneo. I've known Greta for many years. I'm very familiar with the work that Path has done. I think many of y'all are very familiar with the work that Path has done. And her colleague, Eric Handler, gave a fantastic presentation in August, if I remember. So what we're back here today is to ask to advance a recommendation to the full Board of Commissioners to use approximately $250,000 in SPLOST funding, that is 2016 SPLOST funding, to initiate, what I think is a very exciting project. So what you see on the screen here is the countywide trail concept that came out of our comprehensive plan. Everyone here will remember that whether it's strategic plan or comprehensive plan or transportation plan, the idea of building out a trail network for Douglas County has been very popular idea. So we want to make sure, since the adoption of the comp plan in September, that we are wasting no time to implement that plan. So what you see here is the concept that was put in the plan. I believe you should have in your packet for this meeting a draft proposal of the contract with Path Foundation. What we are proposing to do is study two segments of this trail, utilizing that money that we have in SPLOST. So the first segment I'll talk about is the River Trail. These names are just for planning purposes only. I'm not saying this is what we're gonna call the thing ultimately. But we think in working with Pat to flesh this out to bring to you, we think there's some really interesting opportunities to connect the Dog River Park and trails with Pumpkin Town Park, as well as the Little Bear Creek Nature Preserve. If you're not familiar with Bear Creek, that is a property of the Southern Conservation Trust. It is the former Bear Creek Golf Course. They have about 5 miles of former golf cart paths that they want to turn into a multi-use path as a part of the nature preserve. They have gone through the zoning to transition that from a golf course to a nature preserve. So they're very dedicated, to implementing that. And so what we have here is this concept for what we're calling the Dog River Trail. And then I'm gonna just fast forward real quick to what we're calling the Sweetwater Greenway. Again, not set in stone, just names for planning purposes. But this is looking at some of the underutilized floodplain area around the Sweetwater Creek, connecting ultimately down to Sweetwater Creek State Park, and then over to Lee Road, where, as you all know, we're building out a very robust trail, multi-use trail path along Lee Road that gets you down to 92, and further on. And part of the reason that we're starting with these two segments, is that they're kind of the bookends, if you will. If we're really talking about connecting Douglas County through a multi-use path, we do have that larger vision of how we can kind of start at one and get to the other. And so what we're proposing today is to utilize that $250,000 in SPLOST, and I kind of just hit the highlights of the contract that you have in your packet. Approximately $50,000 of that would be dedicated towards feasibility study. So this would be the Path Foundation taking a look at the conditions on the ground, and I can let Greta speak to that a little bit more if you have questions about it. And they would come back to us and say, this is where you think through a combination of existing right-of-way, publicly owned land, the topography and the conditions could support the construction of a multi-use path. We are reserving the bulk of it, the $200,000, to actually dedicate to construction drawings for a model mile, right? So again, I can defer to Suleiman and Greta to talk a little bit more about the trail construction process. But what we would look for out of this study is a model mile. And we would propose that that model mile be determined based on their feasibility study. We will of course have a robust steering committee. It's a planning and zoning project after all, right? So you've gotta have robust public engagement. We would certainly want the public to have a voice in that model mile. And then eventually we would present to the Board of Commissioners, here's what we would like to do as our model mile. So we would use the bulk of this lost money to actually design that model mile. So in addition to the steering committee and the public information, you know, that we would be, presenting to you all throughout this, we want to make sure that we are putting you on notice today that the plan is to come back roughly a year from now, if you move forward with this today, and ask for funding of that trail, right? So I want to manage expectations. $250,000 is not going to get us the model mile. It is going to get us the documents to help us build that model mile. So it would be our proposal to come back, like I said, probably about this time next year, assuming everything falls in place, and say, hey, within the first 4 months of the notice to proceed, we've completed our feasibility study, we have our model mile design and engineering, and we are ready to move forward with kind of, you know, seeing what it would take to start to implement that plan. As a final footnote, we have sent the contract through for review by our SLOSS managers, our legal department, and our procurement. So we'll make sure that we have all of those details worked out before this advances to the full board, if it is the will of the committee to advance this to the full board. So I'm going to stop right there and let you ask any questions that you may have, or Suleiman or Greta, if y'all would like to share anything.
You gotta guess here, Greta, you want to take forward this share?
I feel better take a breath. Right. Well, I'm Greta Tamayo, the Executive Director of the PATH Foundation, and we're a nonprofit that started 32 years ago, really focused in Metro Atlanta. And our mission is to make Metro Atlanta the most trail-connected city in the country. So we've got a lot to do that. But what Allison has us outlining here, I think the caveat when we jump on board with a city or county and we partner with you is we want to see something built. We don't want to just plan or over-plan. So the process of really looking at the opportunities that we've already outlined in those two study areas, looking at it from a feasibility perspective, what is this going to take? Feasibility is going to determine, from our experience, how do you phase this over time? What is your implementation strategy that would come out of this study that would show you how many phases would it take to complete everything that we plan, you know, that we're looking at? What would be the cost to do that? I think one of the things that we see our partners not really having is a good working document that shows you if you were to build out everything in the Dog River or the Sweetwater Greenway areas, what would that entail? How many miles is that? We can't build everything at once. So we love to, out of our plans, and we really highly recommend a model project. You're engaging the public, you're getting the public excited about what you as Douglas County are going to do for them. And to not have a model project move forward really loses the momentum that you start to build in a planning effort in this feasibility study. So what would that model piece look like? What would it cost? You know, where do we start? And then how do you use the rest of your money? Because we really want your money to ultimately go into building. How do we get that model mile, what we would call, you guys are transportation, shovel ready? And that way you can really have, you know, full design engineering, full permitting. We are doing cost estimates throughout every review within the design advancement, 30, 60, 90%. And then you really know too, okay, where do we wisely use our funding to get the project constructed? So with that, I'll just let you ask any questions.
No, thank you for that. And just by way of disclosure, Mr. Chair, so I got to meet your organization work back in 18, I don't know if you were over in Atlanta. And at that time, Commissioner Mike Welfare, he was the chair of transportation at that time. And we met with the more senior guy.
And.
You guys show what you would have done in regular by miles, and to see your body's work, it's like, oh my God. And then there's the career on how to go about doing this. So part of this, and I heard you say 3069, you're gonna be there and hold our hand. So we didn't know, while it is like transportation, it's a different implementation model. And so talk about that. It's a little bit different. I can pay road directly, but this is really, it's a slower road. It's more thoughtful, it's more, talk about that for me.
Well, we've learned early on that not everything has the control of the county. You're gonna be looking at very high touch with some property owners and really in the feasibility determination, how are you piecing corridors together? We love the fact that, you build trails based on where does the public want to go if they could walk or bike. And you can see here already in some of your other plans connecting your greenways along your creeks, those places where it doesn't matter what your age is, doesn't matter what your ability is, you're gonna really want to capture a large percentage of the public that's gonna want to use these trails. So we're looking at, where are the destinations that you're wanting to connect? Where can we find a real quality greenway connection where you feel comfortable and invited to be there? But then realistically, who owns that property today? The biggest challenge that we have, and I'll just be transparent about it, is single family residential property owners. And so we have a very high touch when we're looking at making a connection and figuring out the most feasible trail connection to connect from destination to destination. But how do we, try to stay away from, I guess that's the best way to put it, the single family residential property owners. And so, that's totally different than other transportation projects. Most transportation projects, you already own the right of way, or you're using GDOT's process and you can go and commute. We don't ever want to go to that extreme. We want to really work with the community. We want to educate them about the benefits of trails, the opportunities that this could bring to them, and then answer any concerns they would have. So, 32 years, we've built 320 miles, we've experienced a little bit of everything. It doesn't mean that we've experienced everything that we can experience. We learn every day, but we'll be coming with that kind of background to the project of how to work directly with property owners and really try to tee up what would be the corridor that we can make these trails happen.
So for that, 302 miles,
Yes.
is that like center miles? Is that equivalent, Ron, you guys have 172 center miles in Douglas County, so that's almost half our entire transportation network.
Yeah. And ours spread out. I think everybody's familiar with like the Silver Comet.
Sure.
Wow, that's what, 90 miles within Georgia. So that's a big piece of that number that we have on our books. And right now we're pulling that all the way into Atlanta, into downtown. But you do start regionally seeing how everybody's doing their own little piece. And over time, and especially with the Chattahoochee River here, how you're going to regionally connect one day is really exciting. I mean, your river and even Sweetwater Creek, your tributaries coming, you have wonderful opportunities for what we get excited about, which is a true greenway trail, so that you're not having to interact as much with roadways, and you can feel comfortable. You have a small child, outlive you riding a bike and you don't have all those safety issues with too many interactions with vehicular cars. So,
Well, thanks for that background. So Director Ron, I heard what Allison, ran with the development said about the $10,000 and $6,000 is for, the concept or the initial oversight of this. 2016 squash, I'm always big on that, like we're already to 2022, we're spending down that one. So this is on the list, so we have adequate funding in 2016.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Just from a layman perspective, we have to buy all this land, I guess, in order to put a trail on it, or?
we would love as your partner, and I think that's part of the value as a nonprofit that we bring, is really a high touch with property owners and having them understand the value of what the county is gonna be willing to invest in long term, but how we have to partner together. And most frequently with commercial property owners, we're teaming up donations. And so you need that corridor, whether you're wanting an easement or kind of a fee simple acquisition of where the trail is gonna go. But we really want your money to go into building. So we, from the very beginning in conversation, and this is different from other transportation projects, if you have to go through the GDOT process, if you're using anything other than local money, you're not really supposed to be talking about acquisition. But if you're using local money like your SPOS dollars, then we really are trying to get donated easements, so that your dollars go further.
What percentage of the 320 miles that you've done, what percentage of the people donated the land and how much did you have to buy?
I don't know, but I will give you one example. If you've ever been to Carrollton, Georgia, we built the green belt around Carrollton, which was 16 miles. We, in 5 years, this is, if you had private donors that would just fund everything, then you could do it in 5 years.
Wow.
Yes, which was just amazing what they were giving back to the city. But we closed on 90 easements or fee simple acquisition pieces from 90 different parcels. Out of the 90, we only had to pay for 5. And what happened is that people start to, your model project is so critical. We typically are looking at a criteria to suggest a model project that doesn't mean you have a lot of acquisition. And so, but as soon as you get your model project in the ground, then you start to realize people really want to be connected. And it's more tangible what you're talking about. And that's what happened in Carrollton.
That's great. A mile of trail, what's the average cost?
Yeah, right now, a Greenway Trail, I would not put a price. We just did an abandoned rail corridor. We're doing that for $1 million a month. When we start looking at Greenway Trails, we're typically going, the terrain in the Atlanta area is gonna have some walls, it's gonna have some bridges. I would at this point estimate $2.5 million a mile. If you get further into Atlanta and it's a more densely developed area, you're looking right now as we're bringing the Silver Comet, Atlanta Road Bridge comes across the Chattahoochee River. And so unfortunately that's our only place to kind of come across. But as soon as we get into that upper west side of Atlanta, we're spending $4.5 million. So, that gives you a little bit of range. You don't have an abandoned rail corridor in these study areas, but I think right now, just mentally kind of banking on $2.5 million. And then as we advance the model project too, we want to be within a reasonable budget that what you would have to build something. So those will be things during the feasibility study, we'll be asking and trying to figure out what is the best model project.
Allison, how many miles is that?
So do you remember?
I remember when we were working on it, Nico had kind of calculated it. Oh,
Right, one thing I would share, for some reason I have in my head about 7 miles, I don't know if that sounds
Right.
correct. Now, for this whole thing here, one thing I would share with you is that everything you see that's shaded, that's publicly owned property or the Local Bear Creek Nature Preserve that's shaded. But between the Dog River Park, the Pumpkintown Park, and then those 2 big tracts, the Water and Sewer Authority property, that is all publicly owned. The line, where the line goes, is also on public right of way, you know, and so looking at the possibility through old abandoned road, water and sewer authority easements, things of that nature. So we very strategically looked at this one to see where are opportunities that would focus primarily on either existing right of way or on public land property. We have been in conversation with WSA. They have reviewed this concept and they're very friendly to us working with them to build trails on their property. So in terms of that concept, we feel pretty good about the possibility there. The Sweetwater Greenway is a little bit of a different conversation. This would be mostly working with private property owners, but you'll also notice that we've been very strategic to propose a potential route through the floodplain, right? So this is property that is not otherwise available to be developed, because of our floodplain restrictions, but you can put a trail, you know, in floodplain. So again, this is I think the point that Greta underscored about being thoughtful and strategic about where you go, to maximize the benefit while minimizing the possible negative consequences.
So, Chair, you have a question?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
well, it's very interesting too, even looking at this study area, you know, the transit-oriented development that everybody talks about. When we talk about trail-oriented development, you know, in a big picture, when you have an area within your county that you know over time is going to redevelop, and that economic side, trails can be a catalyst to that.
Sure.
Which is kind of nice too. I don't know your area enough to speak to what when you guys look at that, what would be the future?
You probably focus more on what land is available than what land that this type of development could promote, if that makes sense.
So when we were doing the countywide concept, you know, there you go. When we were doing the countywide concept, we were looking at connecting major destinations. So I would be the first person to admit that we were not going and doing that parcel by parcel analysis. I think that is where this project picks up where we left off. So we were looking at how we could connect the east side to the west side as a transportation alternative.
And most of that is on public, or WSA land, or county property, or whatever it is that is not private property, right?
For this concept, most of this is on publicly owned land. And then I would say for the Sweetwater Greenway concept, most of this is through floodplain. A lot of that is privately owned, but otherwise doesn't necessarily need to be developed. And then the piece that you see stretching to the west, that is on public right of way. With the design of kind of being a collector for all of those single family neighborhoods, that's one of our densest developed areas of the county. So the idea is that all of those residents could have access to this path connecting over to where we're already investing in improvements along the road. There's another map. I didn't bring it today because I thought it would be tiresome for the amount of time you wanted to hear me talk. But we already have improvements programmed for Chapel Hill, or planned for Chapel Hill, you know, for the widening of Chapel Hill, for the Lomar connector, you know, coming through there. So again, there's a bigger picture, which I would love to share with you sometime, of where we are also strategically looking at these two pieces as the bookends to piece together where we already are planning to make trail improvements in conjunction with program road improvements.
I see how Carroll Greenway, would help develop that area. I don't know that I see this yet, and you know, as we plan and maybe that comes together, but the Greenway is a phenomenal project. I hope this doesn't get that.
Yeah, thank you. So, back to point, a model line, And this is just the initial step before you can plan the analysis regarding it. Again, Director, Ronald, again, 50 Portage Strip for the early concept. 2016 spots. Do we have money set aside in the 2022 spots for the trail? Those are, we had, our committee did vote on how that was gonna be configured. Can you remind us?
Right, there is no allocation in 2022 loss. The only thing we've got, is 250 from 2016.
Right. Yeah. And we did that right now. So do we need to call a motion to send this to the full board?
Yes, sir.
All right. Please.
I make a motion that we recommend Path Foundation's PSA professional services agreement, in the amount of $249,930 for full board approval.
There's been a motion and a second, and further discussion on this matter. And then I'll call the question, all voting members, say so by saying yes to the report. It's been heard. Heather Robinson, yes.
I don't know yet. I want a bigger plan than we're gonna spend $249,000, for a plan. And, we don't know where the other money is coming from to make this project what the project ought to be. So until I know that, I'm not for, bringing it before the board, because $249,000 doesn't get us very far. And, it's not that I'm against the project, I want you to understand. I want a plan in front of me as to how we're gonna fund this project to make it viable and not make it just something on a piece of paper, a plan.
We got it.
Ron, yes.
Ron,
Steve Coward, yes.
We've got a vote, that carries us for 5-1, and so we'll keep moving forward, it has passed, but to your point, part of this is to get it out. Right, let's see, get it, let's get my experts right here, for help us understand what we're looking at, I think that's.
I'm hoping a year from now, you've got the money.
We'll have it, right,
I mean, you were very clearly that's what we're here to help you with. And you do need to have the money to build, but,
And we don't.
Well, it's good direction, if you would like us, at whatever time it comes to the full board, if we need to have that, better fleshed out, I think we can certainly have
I
that
think,
prepared.
I think the citizens of Douglas County need to have some idea of what the concept is, how long it's gonna take to do it, how much it's gonna cost,
Sure
and
thing.
how it's gonna benefit the community.
We can certainly provide that information if we can. Absolutely.
I would just like to add something to Mary. Part of our transit master plan goes with ride share, bike ride share, and things of that nature. Some of the things that they're looking, that model mile, that you guys would be looking for, to represent those, we'd love to show you what, our concepts are, and we're thinking about taking, to the board, and maybe there's some that we can flesh that out thoughtfully.
The 250 doesn't give us a model mile, right?
it doesn't. I wish it would.
If we did construction drawings, and then we can,
Right.
we can bring some recommendations back for that, so.
But it's not block money that would be used to build the model mile, and, where does that money, where does $2.5 million or $3.5 million by the time we get it done, or $4.5 million, like $500,000, where does that come from?
Ask for more information and you shall receive it. So, we absolutely, I'm excited, that your interest is kind of.
Well, there may be some federal money, I don't know, there may be some grant out there, I don't know, but, I don't like to do things without knowing where the funding comes from.
Sure.
Here's some key points that I've learned over time, in government is wrong with the following things. And if you get the business objectives, you get your early stage, you get your business requirements, your tech requirements, and all the designs, it's evolutionary. There are different funding sources. Again, the 50 spots they would take the 28 spots. You've got a long list of things we can do, you run things thoroughly. But without this, the design, without this complete, I can't make a decision without that. I don't know about, once you count the cost, then I can figure out what I want to go with. Maybe something like, oh, we're gonna get this, you're gonna get this in the next decade. But you don't know until you get intelligence. And that's what this, I believe this is going to give,
It would,
that expertise,
yeah,
to
that
be
is,
making
that
part
is,
of it.
I think the concept of, having trails throughout the county is probably a good concept and it is probably accepted by a lot of our community. Spending $250,000 to decide, whether we wanna have one or not, that shouldn't, I don't know. I don't know if that should play into it. Either we need them or we don't, or, and we know what the economic benefit is of them being here, or we don't, and, so, you know, hey, listen, we voted, I said with my piece and I'm happy.
Thank you, sir.
and you know, to the funding, one of the best grants right now, and once you do know more, I think you would be in a better position to apply for it, is through DNR, and it is the Georgia Outdoor Stewardship Program. And especially if you have not been awarded one, and they're gonna look at regional connections, recreational elements, wildlife, all of that. But we've worked with many communities that have been recipients of, the GOSEP grant. And that's one that I think we would highly recommend as we come through the study, know the phases, and even see, okay, what is that price tag that's the challenge to get this first piece built?
Yeah, do you know of any grants out there that
I don't, well, off the top of my head, but I have, a resource where I can take a search and we can kind of put the parameters in and, it'll notify us if something comes up.
Yeah.
I was looking when you said the outdoor stewardship, I've reviewed those before and I think Parks and Rec,
Do they apply for?
I think they applied, and I don't know, let me check the status of that. I know that the, GOSEP had a couple, so I may have it confused with their other big one.
Right.
I'm trying to find them.
Yeah, cause they'll open, typically around October every year, and then they award at the beginning of the next year. So this could sync well with that in positioning, but you still would need to have your local matching funding.
Right.
But at least, you know, that 80-20 is a lot easier to figure out than 100.
No doubt.
So, right. Anyway, well, thank you.
Well, thank you both for being here, thank you. Director Ron?
Sir. Next item on the agenda is Lee Road Phase 2, supplemental agreement number 4, in the amount of $288,000, and $75.09. So, as you all know, Lee Road Phase 2 is currently under construction. This is roadway widening from I-20 to Fairburn. And this is roughly 2 miles, a little over 2 miles of a widening project, and in the process of construction, there were quite a few things, especially from utilities, that required relocations. Now, everything that was within public right of way, whether it be Greystone poles or WSA water mains, those were relocated at those agencies or companies' expense. In the plans, there were a few water walls located, 6 water walls located within the length of the project. 3 of them are located in private properties, and if we were to relocate them, the condition that the concrete cast is in, it's basically gonna break into a billion pieces the second we touch it. So as we're digging this up, the right way to do that is basically accept the condition that they're in and reconstruct the new walls at the proposed relocated location. So the biggest ticket item that's coming out of this change order is reconstruction and relocation of those 3 major water walls. Then there are a few other things that this change order or supplemental agreement covers. Excuse me. There's erosion control and quantity adjustments with such a significant length of roadway project under construction. There's additional erosion control measures need to be put in place across the length of the project. This covers that, even though that's insignificant, but still that's an added cost to this total sum. The third thing that this covers is the change of median access at the Novo development. This is just close to the I-20 interchange on Lee Road. There's new development going in, and this is, I believe, 300 units planned for that development, if not more. Given the bulk of traffic flow coming from that new development, GDOT and the county agreed in the design process that it would make sense to give them full access on the median rather than having them turn right and then make U-turns to get to I-20. So this is a bit, change of plan. Of course, we're saving, some concrete on that median, but there's additional striping. There is additional, signage that has to go in, so that's the third part. And all of that included, these three play the biggest factor in the cost that I mentioned. There's a minor delay in days, which is 35 days. These are strictly for just the water walls, for them to be dug out safely and relocated at the proposed location. So all in all, it's the sum that I mentioned and 35 days that puts this. That is a supplemental agreement for you guys. And just to mention the extension in days, what this change order would do is extend from our initial contract date, which is February 24, the 35 days would put us out at roughly April 24.
So, for me, the project will be complete.
No, sir, so
Or this,
just to consider the items that are discussed on this.
got it. I'm about to say, how did that sounds good. Okay, got it. Now, when will the project execute? What this is, that it's 35 days, to your point.
Right.
And I'm not going to bind it per se, because I know how to inform the fee for the record.
Yes, sir. So the current contract extension we put in place with GDOT puts us at November 24. That would be end of 2024. But looking at the overall progress and where we stand today, I think majority of the project would be open to public. Significant sections will open up and relieve the congestion, but there will be small final last 10 to 15% of items that may take you into early 25. But that's where we stand today.
Very good. All right, so with this supplemental agreement and change order in essence, good. This is already budgeted. It doesn't extend the budget above beyond, and you have to cover it for it.
Yes, so this is budgeted within block 2016.
All right, any questions from our voting community? We need a formal motion to send it to the full vote first.
Yes. I make a motion that we recommend Lee Road Phase 2 supplemental agreement number 4 in the amount of $288,075.09 for board approval.
I'm sorry.
I make a motion, Jeff Rowland, second, please, Jared. Any further questions? All in favor or object, please say so for the record, so that it can be properly captured. Heather Robinson, yes.
Bill Miller, yes.
So, yes.
Ron Roberts, yes.
Steve Coward, yes.
All right, we got any minutes, passage of this motion? Director Brown, just keep moving.
Yes, sir. Next item is Highway 5 at Douglas Boulevard. The agenda item reads, it's a request for intergovernmental agreement extension. This is a right turn lane addition at the subject intersection, which is very much needed. We hear constantly from our citizens about the need of this turn lane. Where we stand in the process is we're currently in right of way acquisition, and we have been for the past few years, in fact. The reason of the delay is even though there are only 4 parcels on the turn lane, we're dealing with 2 mall parcels and 1 Del Taco parcel, and they have basically not cooperated at all to donate or even we offered to pay the fair market value of the acquisitions, and we still were not met with any cooperation or any response in some cases. And as the board is aware that we are in proceedings, legal proceedings to acquire the right of way that we need for this project. In the process of doing so and where we stand today, there was roughly a little over a year of inactivity of the project for the project. And what that does is that we have an intergovernmental agreement with City of Douglasville where they were supposed to pay $600,000 for the project, and the county had roughly the cost of $1.2 million. The city had put the bill up at 50% of the cost. And for us to continue that partnership, the agreement has to be renewed or extended for the time frame that we need. Where we stand today is we will very soon have acquisition or possession of the parcels and the right of way that we need, given all of the proceedings go as planned. The next step would be advertising the project. The construction would take anywhere from 6 to 9 months. And beyond that would be just basically accepting, finalizing all of the transactions, not just with the contractor, but between the county and the city. Roughly imagining where that process takes us, I recommend that we extend this agreement to March 31st of 25. That gives us roughly 14 months to work with. definitely more than what we need, but, it comes in with a cushion in case, we need some time for processing different stages as we proceed. And, that is what's before you guys, an extension agreement, that will take you from, December 31st, the original expiry, to March 31st of 25.
The term line goes all the way back to Del Taco.
Yes, sir.
That, oh, but, all right, so, but see that point, right, so. So how long will it take you to do it? How long will it take you to do it? Now, only give the context of the spot, and then this is one of the major projects, and again, we, on the road, Memphis Road, so Chapel Hill and, Douglas Boulevard as part of the, SES line, I got it. But why is it taking so long on this one? I can do it 2 miles, expanding, road. Why so complicated? Is the right way and working with that?
Yes, sir. Right of way was very, critical, in, where this has gotten us. And the reason behind that is we're dealing with one of the biggest businesses of the county. We were told, or we had the direction to do every possible thing we could to, negotiate and make a deal. Of course, condemnation is always the last step, and that's what we had to do, in the last few months. But that was the, reason behind the delay. It was filed with the judge's office, the Spirit Court, so we should have possession within 30 days.
Process. Got it. Any questions from, our fellow committee? If none, I know we didn't think that's one listed to the full board, please.
Yes, sir. I make a motion that we recommend I-5 at Douglas Boulevard Intersection Improvement Project intergovernmental agreement extension, up to March 31st, 2025 for full board approval.
Sorry. I have read motion, Director Rana, and second to the chair. Any further discussion? And done, then go ahead around the room for the record, say your name and the position listed, and let you know. Robinson, yes.
Sam Miller, yes.
Solomon Ryan, yes.
Ron Roberts, yes.
Steve Coward, yes.
All right, you got a 5-0 unanimous vote and passes with motion. All right, Director Rana, wrong there.
The next item is regarding Spine Road construction. This is roughly half a mile paved construction, new roadway construction off of 92. Board approved the construction contract on October 31st. We're coming back with a recommendation for a construction testing firm. This firm will basically be on site, perform any necessary construction and material testing, and basically guide us through the process, whether it be unexpected discovery upon excavation of the ground, or ensuring the quality and standards of the construction materials used. We reached out to different firms to get quotes. We received 4 quotes, and the lowest one is from Contour Engineering in the amount of $36,585. And we'll be recommending Contour's services for the setting.
You did an RFP or you guys just did single quote, so the amount less than 3,000.
Yes, sir. That being less than 50, we did quotes.
No problem with that. And again, there was one time a consideration doing the testing and certain things in-house, you being facility director. Is this specialized while we don't have this in-house? We can talk about testing.
Yes, sir. So with a typical construction project, first we need a prime contractor, which we often outsource. They come in with the forces that they need to construct the project. There are 2 services that go along with the construction contract. One is the construction management. The second is construction testing. Construction testing is such a specialized field and requires laboratories and certified technicians that I personally think it is best that it remains outsourced. Now, construction management, on the other hand, is something we can do in-house on a relatively smaller project. So let's say New Manchester, the sidewalk project that we're going to construct, the Stewart Mill at Reynolds that we finished recently. Relatively smaller project, we are doing construction management in-house, and we've got very competent engineers in our team to do that.
Just say we'll do that for the record. I know we had that conversation earlier on.
Yes.
All right, so any questions in general from the board members? We'll keep it going.
If I may, I can make a motion.
Yes, please.
I make a motion that we recommend Spine Roads construction testing services with Contra Engineering in the amount of $36,585 for quarter two.
Okay, we got a motion, can I get a second on this matter? If you have a second, any further discussion on this matter? All right, we're on the record once again, because this is live and being recorded. Those who are for, say yes, those who are against, say no. Ted Robinson, yes.
Bill Miller, yes.
Sullivan Marty, yes.
Ron Robinson.
Keith Kellett, yes.
5-0 unanimous passage. Very wrong, please.
Yes, sir. It is that time of the year, and by that I don't mean holidays. It's the time we finalize our LMIG list, the resurfacing effort for the county.
Yes.
LMIG refers to the grant that we get from GDOT, which basically covers roughly $1.5 million in funds. There's a significant portion that comes from SPLOST and sometimes general fund to help us complete this effort. This year, we're planning to resurface roughly 11.7 miles across the county. Yes, and the justification or the reasoning behind this length is the funding scenario that we're before us.
Yep.
Luckily, in this year, we have 2 SPLOST years worth of allocation ready for next year. They basically SPLOST started 2022. We have 2023 allocation and then 2024 allocation combined going towards next year's resurfacing. We've got $1.4 million from state grant that helps. And then we've got a savings of $700,000 from our 2022 SPLOST contract. And we requested our finance team to block that out for us so we can use it next year. Asphalt and resurfacing costs have been skyrocketing year over year. And any funding chunks that we can find would definitely help us go or pay more. I have a list of roughly 2.9 miles of each district, different roads that we've selected with one-on-one conversations with each district commissioners. And if you would like, I can read that into the record.
Yeah, just before you do, one more time, just for me and the chairs, are what is the total amount and what is the funding stack if you do get that?
Yes, sir. So this year, our total allocation is roughly 12 miles. The funding needed for that, and this is our estimate, is $5.3 million. This gives you roughly 3 miles per district. The sum comes out to be 5.3 million because we've got 1.5 from SPLOST 23, 1.5 from SPLOST 24, and 1.5 from LMIG, which is the state grant. So it gives you roughly a little over $5 million.
Got it, so how much is it per mile?
It's
I know
between
it's
$400,000 to $450,000 per last.
just the resurface.
Yes, sir.
A mile.
1 mile.
So that's different on the trail.
I teed it up perfectly, didn't I? Alright, so no, Marty, so, Caitlin, have you talked to our fellow commissioners fully, Mr. Chair? Talk about how we allocate that, how you do that process, yes, please read into the record.
Yes, sir. So the process, basically, we've got a comprehensive list of every road that's in the county that was evaluated for its condition and its measurements, whether it be width or length. That gives you a rating of what condition each road is. Then the next thing we do is our department, and especially Pam here with us today, she collects the complaints that we get from residents every year, throughout the years, and we make a note of those. And then, of course, any requests that come from district commissioners. When the time comes, which is right now for resurfacing list, first we consider that rating and the complaints the department has received, and we compile a list that fits the criteria, the funding criteria and the mileage criteria we're working with. Then we sit down with each district commissioner and present the proposed list and get their input. And if they have any preferences or requests, we of course try to make adjustments and accommodate their requests. Once all commissioners, district commissioners have been satisfied, that's when we compile the list and come before this committee for the first approval. And whenever you're all ready, I can read it, but I'm going to see that.
No, go ahead for the record, then we'll ask after that. Go ahead. So each district will what
So starting off with District 1, we've got Copper Circle from South Street border to Copper Street, Boynton Drive from North County Line to Grover's Lake, Boynton Drive from Grover's Lake to Lee Road, Stone Ridge Drive from McNown Road to Dead End, Tall Pines Drive from McNown Road to Stone Ridge, Old Pines Way from McNown Road to Stone Ridge, Mark Turner Road from South Sweetwater to, Dead End. District Two, North Enawaki Road from Old Enawaki to Legion Lake, North Enawaki Road from Old Enawaki Road to Legion Road, Old Enawaki Road from North Enawaki to State Route 92, Old East County Line Road from East County Line Road to Dead End, Sanders Place, Herring Place, Brooks Drive, Meadowview Drive, Riverside Drive, Old Alabama Drive. District Three is Dorset Shoals Road, EMC Road, Medlock Park Drive, Dorset Shoals Run, Dorset Shoals Court, Kobe Lane, Queens Road. District Four is Redbud Drive, Ephesus Heights Drive, Blackberry Lane, Potomac Place, Independence Court, St. James Court, Governor's Lane, Andy Mountain Court, Mill Run Trail, and Daniel Road.
Great, so you ready to direct officially. So to that question, so I'm gonna use this as an example for just a few. Are those within a subdivision or those are in line with?
Yes, sir. So, most of them are from subdivision. There are a few collectors that we try to address. Of course, the bigger the road, the more effort it takes. And then at that point, if you were to do, let's say, a collector or an arterial in one district, that's basically your allocation for the entire district. So we try to spread the effect as much as we can and touch upon both. In this, I think it's a 70-30 split, with 70% focused on subdivision, 30% on some collectors that we thought were critical for this year where we are.
And Mr. Chair, that was something that was brought up, historically, we're always paving the main roads. And so with this SPLOST, at least in my district, I did sacrifice, a couple of times for my subdivision. People have their money for 20, 30, 40 years, but they never been fully serviced.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was a good change in the policy. It looks like in this particular spot, we did set aside that through money that will be dedicated to that thing for the study. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we are inside subdivisions balancing it out. Yeah. And everybody signed off all my commission did waiting. Yes, Commissioner Alvarez.
Yes, sir. I spoke to them this morning before coming into the committee. There were a few changes, last night's changes on the list, but overall we're good on that.
Good. All right. And that list, one thing that we did, and I know David did confirm, that, the road rating, one thing that we amended, the contract for our SPLOST team, to rate all of our roads. We have never done that in the history of the county. We did that. We have I know you know all the roads, you know the conditions. Tell us about that. So once you knock the roads down, do we clean up the list? Does it automatically recalibrate, or do we have to go back out and get another rating? How does that work?
So that list, that rating was done in 2019. It's a comprehensive list of all the roads and all the details we need. Then when we resurface every year, we keep our data within our departments, let's say Pam, Lavon, and our team would accumulate those spreadsheets and mark those up on the master list that we've got for our working purposes. Now, we would need to go out there and revisit that rating, basically redoing that contract. That should be done every 5 years. First, to capture every resurfacing that's been done.
Yep.
Second, to capture new roads that have become part of the system. Third, to monitor any more usage than the ordinary. Let's say one road's deteriorating at a faster rate versus the other. So it's not a linear trend that we can use and keep just one rating in place. Therefore, a 5-year update is necessary. And in fact, next year is when we requested in our budget to be funded for that service again.
Okay, so we have more economic development. NHL roads with it fast, more subdivisions, more apartments, etc. Now it accelerates this maturation road. Doesn't it also include dirt roads? Wasn't it comprehensive for every type of road?
That specific list that's lost it does not include dirt roads, but we maintain our own spreadsheet with all the details on dirt roads. We've got roughly 35 miles of dirt roads that we maintain every month.
And how do we approach dirt roads? Are we moving toward a place of paving them, or is it using citizen input that just we just put all the stuff we should pour down, and then which about it is big on
Millions.
yeah, whatever that is to keep it down.
So there are So dirt roads basically are sole responsibility as of right now is to
For
maintain
the
dirt
county?
roads, the county. They should maintain dirt roads as they are. Now, of course, there's a preference. There's some roads we've gotten complaints and citizen input where they wanted to maintain. Let's say Florence Road, it's used as a major cut through road. And not so much from the residents, but the commuters who use that as a cut through, even from Sound, they would put in complaints asking for us to pave it. There is no set aside funding for paving dirt roads. We had a ask in our budget for next year, roughly $2.5 million, to start paving. It's gonna cost us anywhere from $800,000 to $1 million to pave 1 mile of dirt roads.
More back up, why, you have to like rebuild it or reconstruct it in such a way?
Right, because resurfacing that we just talked about, it's the first and the top layer of asphalt. When we do dirt roads to paved roads, that's 4 layers we have to do, from subgrade to a binder and then the 2 top surfaces that we have to add. So it's a much bigger effort. And then the second thing is we have to design for drainage because they're going from a pervious surface to an impervious surface. And then you may even have to relocate utilities for it to have the proper width and acquire right of way, for it to, basically meet the county standards.
And therefore, it's the cost of equivalent trails.
And getting up there.
But no, but I'm just seeing how this fits all together, and I got it. But we are responsible, so those are not private roads, does that also include private roads?
No, we don't include private roads in our now.
Do we have private roads per se, major private, I know we have private roads, do you have major private roads, is it a lot or not a lot?
I don't think we've got any significant, private roads. We've got smaller private roads within subdivisions here and there.
Sure.
That, people often call in complaints thinking that those are public roads. And then, we can easily tell if they're ours or not. But there are a few, minor subdivision roads that are private.
Good. All right, any questions on the roads? Obviously, this is important for the citizens, and obviously tax dollars, cross dollars, and this is what we should know, and I appreciate the element, and I'm sure one thing we did was, this was never enough. The state agency grant we get every year, so that in the strategic and to SPOS, we made sure that we earmark for transportation, letters for resurfacing, taking care of these goals. Get back to 2098 households constantly, especially with big major trucks and quarries and stuff, we know that, there is a degree of maintenance that the county has to do. And we leverage our SPOS dollars to do that, so, good stuff, this will be good. So, let's keep going, you want to put this in motion, send to the full board for ultimate adoption?
Yes, sir. I make a motion that we recommend Elmer 2024 resurfacing list as read into the record for full board approval.
All right, you got a motion? We'll get a second on the verse. I'll say. I'll do it. All right, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, if no objections, we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna call the question, guys. All who are in favor say yes, all who object say no. For the record, state your name and your position, please. Tony Robinson, yes?
Bill Miller, yes.
Senator Lonnie, yes.
Ron Roberts, yes.
Steve Keller, yes.
All right, we got a 5-0 unanimous passage of this motion to send from full board commission to 2020, over the next, the 2024 list of elementary road resurfacing. If you pull, that's done, but you're pulling 2 years forward. Did I just say that right?
Yes, sir. In funding, we are.
So I'm paying attention now, so you're pulling forward, so we have the cash already accumulated to be able to do it. Because we didn't bond the 2022 spot, which was where pay going, we'll talk about that tonight. We're pay going, so where's that cash at? Now we got a list that has by law, by referendum, by percentage. You're saying we have enough money in our transportation bucket, purely, for this. And you're putting forward for the future year. How many?
Yes. So basically 2023 year is a year of overlap. So this resurfacing that we did this year was funded by 26 years plus. And because of that overlap, we're able to leverage 2 years worth of funding for next year.
We got some extra money that was left
Right.
over.
So the other part of that question is, as of right now, we will only take this list and apply for the funding from the state. The contract of this would go into effect somewhere in March to summer of next year. And by that time, I'm hopeful that, some of the collections would be enough to support it, or there would be other funding mechanisms arranged at that time. As of right now, I can't confirm if we've got a pot ready that the $5 million that we need.
Reconsider. I wanna reconsider this question. This is advanced parliamentary rule. I'm back to where's the spot with, I'm bringing up tonight here, and we're at a major decision. Not to take like, women, you're supposed in the future, we don't exist yet. We're hoping that it's gonna be involved, so here we are making a decision to put on a path. So you're playing with it. And you're gonna obligate the board. And if you don't, if the policies don't come in from that spot by 2-1, and we got to another funding source, which historically might have used your fund balance, which I know may be questioned. This one right here, I don't know, I wanna reconsider this because you need to show me what that SPOS is. This is going back to where my program manager, will work with my SPOS. We work with, Terry and David did in 2016, we always do what we work. We always do everything straight. We do every month, how much space we have used and how much where was left. Right now, you're asking, I'm all for this, Ron, there's no, I'm all about this. It's the principal guys, and I think finance, if you're listening, where to list that? That's official that the board can make a decision like that, because I don't wanna, I'll be remiss if I allow the board to go off the cliff on this as much as I support it, and sometimes they do that, which will push us through this to hope that it'll work out. We hope it, no, I should have had cash already. See, if we would have bonded the spots like I thought we were gonna do, but the board chose not to, you had cash up front, you just had to make it up payment. If you pay this, I'm gonna pay as I go, you can't get that far ahead of yourself, like, no. That's the point of bonding. That's why you get your cash up front. Then you pay back the bank all the time, Wall Street all the time. This pays you don't, sure, you gotta wait for the pay for it. Whereas getting that money up front, you paying the note back, like, no. So that's $5.3 million right. I don't see it right now. You've only had since April to now, 6 months worth of cash in 2024 since last year's, of 2020 since last year's referendum. So that's a little bit of cash. And that, again, I know you went by buckets. You went by, not by buckets, you went by categories of transportation. We had resurfacing, we had economic development, we had all those things. You even had that broken out into something. So, the thing here is going to take all the cash and nothing else in that category get met. We had an allocation, this community voted on that. So we're, one more time. What is on? So I'm going to reconsider that we table this until we get more information, on our standing on our 2022 fund balance. I need to explode. Okay. All right, guys. We'll make a motion to reconsider this. We're going to table it until we get more money. Now, my question is there an impact on our grant for the element?
Yes, sir. I was going to suggest that we hold it off for board approval internally, but one permission we would need is to apply for that grant. And what goes into that grant application is the list that we just read into the record. So if we can proceed on that activities and we can get the state funding flowing to the county, we can work out the rest within the county term as we approach the end of the year or next year. Basically, if we were to just propose the list where we stand today, we're not obligating any funding. We're only requesting from the state. And that's all the board has to sign off on it.
So we can take this grant, and that's all we get. That's our annual allocation. So that goes to $1.2 million.
1.4.
So 1.4 million total.
From
But now we spread across the entire all 4 districts. Right. And it's only in the mix. So what we're doing is, so how many miles is that compared to the 12 miles?
1.4 would probably get you, I would say, 3 miles for one district. That's not much. Yeah.
3 miles or 1 mile per district.
Right.
That's what I don't mind applying for the state grant. Obviously, I'll take the money. Thank you, sir. I'm really proud of that. But to commit to the full board, I think this is a company we can have the full board, but the staff has to have us prepare for this. I'm not intending to agree for the future without it. I'm willing to send it on up with the grant application this year. Right. To make that motion, we'll modify the prior one with this in consideration.
Understood. Just for clarity, if we make a motion to recommend this for board approval, and in the between, we can figure out the funding and the questions that were posed. would you want to have this conversation at the board or just not bring it up to the board?
Well, bring it to the board, if you don't have money there, if it's not ever serious, you need to know.
Right,
I
okay,
have no problem with that.
understood. So we'll just take it up to the board, the next level. That would basically be the last motion, and I can go and call it. I make a motion that we recommend LMIC 2024 resurfacing list as read into the record for board approval.
So I need the pending validation of the 2022 funding. Anybody missing that one?
Understood. I'll amend my motion. I make a motion that we recommend LMIC 2024 resurfacing list as read into the record for full board approval, pending confirmation of the funding availability for SPLOST 2022 for transportation budget.
Okay. I heard the motion, I heard the second, any second. Mr. Chair, you know what we did there, you know what I'm.
I think I'm with you.
I just wanna know the numbers.
Well, I do too, I mean, if it's not there, we got a problem, but, and I don't know how much, block money we get each year, that comes in each year, and I guess that's what you said, we need to know that before we allocate the money.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I'll take a grant from the state, thank you,
yeah, we like that.
on high. But I'm back to the budget side, this all come out like, okay, where's my single view of my ARPA? Where's my single view of my capital improvement plan? Where's my overall SPOS? What's left in 2016, where we're at in 2022? And what is this budget that we about to talk through for the next year? Which can be a single view of everything. Now, we have those type of documents, they just need to update them and make sure we got them in that 2 weeks. I'm gonna make my comments tonight, and then by the next meeting, you guys go, like this, we can't make decisions. And you're asking us to do it on faith, like, you know, in God I trust, all others bring data. And that's important to me. I can't make a decision without data.
What, how much plus have we brought in so far in 2022?
Good, can you help us out?
Will it be about the same, maybe, for next year? I mean, is there a difference?
The coronavirus, we did in 2016 was, I think our last full year, we maintained about 32 million, in that year. So that's roughly almost, about $2.8 million. So I'm not sure the number there for 2023 spot, but usually it's about, 1.5 to 15% more than the year previously. So last year we ended up getting 32 around that part, so maybe this year we'll end up getting further 34. Yeah, that's the question about manufacturing.
And so it's key here to visibility of the SPOS, because again, that's an extra thing SPOS. People did ask for it, it's not like property tax. No, we asked to be taxed this extra thing. And again, the job that these guys did for the 2016 SPOS, every month, it was visible. Every month in our presentations, was visible on the projects that were knocked down, how much period, etc. So they can actually see the project. Reynolds Road, Post Road, wow, okay, whatever it is. In this case, what I'm understanding is that we're not gonna continue that, for this particular spot, which I'm gonna object to again, tonight and, in our budget meeting, because you don't have any information, Jim. There's no visibility. And so if you're asking me to work, it's not a whole stuff, and I don't have any data, that's sleight of hand. And we've done better than that. We've always had transparency on numbers, right? Why are we stopping what we used to do by way of visibility? It's like, why are we regressing in our, then it concerns me, like, I need to know, how good is it? Is it bad? Or is it good? If it's good to his point, then sure thing. Even if it's bad, if it's dropping, then the board can anticipate, like I said, I don't want you to be out there, so I hope it works out.
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
And also, it was, that would be 70% of that amount, the county gets 70% of the city, so we get 70%.
I have never, suggested that these people not be rehired. I have been told that we can save, X number of dollars by doing it ourselves. But I personally have never said, don't hire these people. If that's what you're saying.
It wasn't, but it's more about the communication. Right, so if you want to do a one-off in program management, that's great, but I still need that communication. That communication vehicle is key. Don't hide the numbers from me. No, not you. No. He's not using the guy. I'm saying, we as a board need the visibility. When I talk, I'm talking about staff, like guys, they gotta present to us, Mr. Chair, where do we stand with this? Where the numbers are? If you want my support and you want my vote, I need some data. Don't tell me a great story that they're doing okay, there's nothing there. Because now I gotta look at my system, like, okay, what happened? I'm just checking out, like, okay, guys, but you guys have done a seasoned job, so if you can show me a better way, but don't tell me a better way, because again, if we drop in performance, if we drop in expectations, if we had 5 straight years, 6 straight years, do you think, if I got less, you can save me money for half, what you say, but it's a more inferior product, if the service is less, then you involve me nothing. Because again, if I don't have my visibility anymore, then that's the plan. I say you $1, but the quality is less. Whereas I really pay what I need to have that visibility, but if I don't have the visibility because you're trying to save me $1, it's all about transparency. So show me the trade-off of that. And then we don't get in trouble for stuff that we're obligating ourselves to. Now we gotta take money from other buckets, because now we're gonna obligate ourselves to some contractor out there, that now I gotta make up this $3 million because the money didn't come in, or it wasn't there to begin with. That's the problem. But we can do better in making decisions. But anyway, all right, guys, any further discussion? I think we called it already. So I'm going on, if you approve of this motion that was reconsidered, and reamended by Director Rana, to send it to the full board of commissioners, go around the room, the side of your hand, yes or no of your position. Ted Robinson, yes.
You count is,
All right, and now it's decision, so it's the full board with that one condition. Well done, all right.
The last item on the agenda is our on-call consultants pursuant to our RFQ 23-19. This year, we have always had on-call consultants. The first RFQ went out in 2019. We had contracts extended for roughly 2 years beyond the initial contract after the bid. In 2023, we decided to re-advertise for our on-call consultants. We received 14 vendors who submitted their applications or qualifications. This was against 12 services that Department of Transportation regularly uses, and it helps us to have these consultants on call. And basically what we do is we go under contract with them. The board accepts them as on-call vendors, and when we have the need or a project that's ready to start, we call them in, get the estimates, negotiate a price, and we straight away ask for board's approval on the scope contract, rather than advertising and then finding the vendor and then going through the process. So it helps us expedite delivery of the projects. Given the recent RFQ, as I said, we got 14 responses for 12 service areas. We are recommending approval for top 5 firms for each of the service areas. This is a bigger pool than we've had before, but I think it gives the county a wider range of options, and we can negotiate better on prices if we've got that many vendors on call. And that's what we have before us. I've got the details of the service areas and the vendors who submitted qualifications, and I'd be happy to read them if you need.
It's the record.
Okay. So we've got the service areas. I'll start off with that. The 12 service areas are: first is traffic engineering, second is transportation planning, bridge engineering, bike ped engineering, construction engineering and inspection, major road engineering services, minor road engineering services, intersection improvement engineering services, right-of-way services such as acquisitions and paperwork that's needed for the process, grant writing. This is a new service that we added this time. And the last is the engineering survey services, basically collecting surveys or data collection for any project. The 14 vendors or consultants that applied are: first is Etkin, Prime, Ethlis, Croy, RSNH, Michael Baker, Pond, SEI, BFNK, CDN, Smith, KCI Technologies, Lowe's Engineering, NV5, and GPI Geospatial.
So you got a table for that straight out of the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
So there's some overlap, some firms can absorb costs one for service area, that's right?
That is correct.
All right, and the intent, where we got this from, this idea, Mr. Chair, the committee members, back in the day, it took too long to make a decision sometimes. We purpose to have these consultants or a shortlist on standby, just to give us a quick and dirty. That was really the original goal. Give me plus or minus 50% obligation, because I need to know how much is this going to cost. I looked at my director's presentation or James Workman, how much it's going to cost. So you need to be with me, sir. So can you get somebody here a quick and dirty? That's where it started at. Give us a quick and dirty on any given project. of bigger magnitude than the need.
I got it, I like it.
You got it, so that's where we started from, so now he's involved in, I just wanna get that story that we just.
Yes, sir.
We good?
Right, I'll make a motion that we recommend the on-call consultants pursuant to RFQ 23-19 for board approval.
So that's, we had a motion, can I get a second for this?
That's right.
Second for it, motion by Director Rana and, second by the chair. Any further discussion before I call the question?
I have a question.
Yes,
Just out of curiosity, were any of those, like the train station thing, because we talked about this, going through and getting the service insurance and being able to use some of these for problems that we would need to do in transit. I don't know the process that we got around to actually doing that, but in the future, if that was included, then there would be problems that we encounter in transit, we could pull from these, responders when they're under contract to help us with simple things like, shelter placement and things of that nature, that we would get credits for like PD and things of that nature.
Yep, if I could respond.
Yeah, please.
That was definitely the intent. This time around, we looked at the wider audience, or basically what the county needs for. Jill is here, we talked about the grant writing part. Basically, they're coming on as an on-call grant writer for the whole county. And anybody, any department could reach out to DOT and facilitate those contracts. Whereas, Connect Douglas's services, though, there are a few overlaps when we talk about transportation planning, traffic design, or miscellaneous design. Let's say he needs ADO grants design for his bus shelters, right? Those are some of the minor services that we can cover through our on-call contracts.
And in point of fact, even if they haven't been done, we can always secure those contracts for you, so yeah.
And they are different DBE or anything associated with these, that would that qualify within the actual, responses?
Yes, sir, all contract, or all consultants will be required, a 15% DDE goal, and that comes with every scope specific contract that we put in place.
Got it. All right, we got a motion and a second, and no more further discussion. We'll go on with this last item, on state position, yes or no? Kelly Robinson, yes?
Mayor Miller, yes.
Solomon Ronnie, yes.
Ron Robinson.
Keith Ballard, yes.
All right, we got a 5-vote unanimous vote, passed on to the full board commission. All right, is there anything else that needs to come before this transportation committee?
Yes, sir, there's one minor item that wasn't on the agenda, but if you approve, I would like to present it. This was a complaint we received from District 4 Commissioner, about, intersection in District 4. So this is based on, this is the intersection of Andy Mountain Road and Alley Lane. This is a T intersection, basically mostly a residential road. The problem here is that the initial complaint that we received was, excessive high-speed riders just going through, Andy Mountain Road. And what that does is that any residents that are coming out of Alley Lane, it creates an unsafe condition for them, especially when they can't access the full side distance that they're required to. So we went out there, we performed a minor traffic study to assess the conditions. For one of the approaches, which is from Alley Lane onto Andy Mountain Road, making a left turn that lacked sufficient side distance. It was below the mandated side distance from the speed limit. So what we are recommending is a 3-way stop at the subject intersection. Currently, it's a minor stop, so we'll be adding an additional stop sign on Andy Mountain. I think it would help two causes here. First, it would allow safe access for the residents coming out of Alley. Secondly, it would be a speed controlling barrier on Andy Mountain Road, and basically create some safe travel patterns for the residents that are living on this road.
Good. All right, so what's up for the sign? Will you do it yourself? How will you handle this in the office?
We'll do it in-house. We've got signs ready to go in our sign shop. Roughly, the direct cost would be anywhere from $100 to $300 depending on what signs we put up. So relatively minor, and the installation would handle it.
Nice, that's something that is more administrative, doesn't necessarily have to come to the full board, basically, you need the administrative concurrence and sufficient.
Yes, sir, we would need both approval because it is an intersection control method. In cases like these are minor, but sometimes they have bigger social impact, so that's why the standard practice is to take it to the board.
Not a problem. We're going to amend the agenda to add this particular item with no objection, then I'll therefore move forward. Give me a motion, please.
I make a motion that we recommend a multi-way stop sign at the intersection of Andy Mountain Road and Alley Lane, for board approval.
No second.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We got a second. Is there any further discussion? We're adding this for District 4, no problem. If none, I'm going on call the question for the position, yes or no? I vote yes, Kelly Ross.
Solomon Ryan, yes.
Very good. I vote unanimous, passes to add that to the whole vote. Anything else need to come for this, November 14th, 2023, for the Douglas County Championship?
No, sir.
Let this meeting stand adjourned